And welcome back to Tabletop Nerdcast, the Age of Rebellion Galactic Youth campaign. It's now session 2, and last time on Galactic Youth.
I only have 2 hands.
Oh God, what is happening? Dad!
My players have lost their mind. No. Anyway, welcome back for those that are on the stream. We're going to continue back with our story where we were at before. For those that may be finding us new as a channel, click the subscribe, hit the like, leave us a comment, and ring the bell. You'll know anytime we've got some new content coming out because we have tons of it. But without any further ado, we're going to jump right back into Galactic Youth. Hey, Aaron. You're being led off by stormtroopers now. You've got binders behind your back, and they've taken you back into a back alley. And you can see at the end of the back alley some kind of armored transport, almost. And you see a bunch of troopers with people and kids and adults and women. It just doesn't matter. All ages, all races, all species. They're all being taken, and they're being brought back to almost like these cattle car style, just armored speeders. And that's where we're going to leave you at the moment.
Let him rot.
I know how many troopers there are.
In your view, you're seeing at least 7 or 8.
Okay.
But that's what's in front of you at this point. Now, Mr. Thuy. You were brought by your mom.
My mommy.
Mom! Dad!
Mommy!
Your backstory, you already killed off your father. So, you didn't leave me a whole lot of choice here, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm an orphan. Are you 10?
Well, 13 and a half, sir.
Okay.
And as we've gone through and we've seen with our other players, the scene turns to madness. Shots are ringing out. You're kind of on the concourse between some of these restaurants and the gift shops and some of the small shops and sales areas that are around. There's no carts or vendors that are there other than maybe some food vendors trying to make a quick buck during the celebration because hey, everybody's got to eat, right? But you and your mom are sitting there and all this breaks out in front of you. Shots start flying, in every direction from the handful of troopers that are down by the Palpatine statue that's been toppled. A few troopers have broken through the side, and security agents and local Coruscant police forces. Just a hodgepodge that you're seeing back here on the back end of the platform have broken through, and they start firing in on the crowd. And in that moment, your mom looks at you. And obviously, you don't even need the translators to pick this up. You're getting the sense of just almost panic in her eyes. And it's something from the Ithorians that you've not really ever experienced. Life is great to the Ithorians.
Oh, yeah.
And she's looking at you and looking across the crowd. And you can see it, just panic. Her skin color has almost changed, a little more of a pale shade. And she, like many others, is grabbing your hand and trying to pull you along with her as you're being pulled towards one of the buildings, thinking that she can take cover within one of these buildings. And as you guys kick through kind of one of the doors and you kind of make your way in with a couple of others, as you're sitting there and as you're in that building, you realize this is a shop. There's not really a back to this shop. You're just in a building that you see a back room, but you don't necessarily know if there's, a back way out, what's going on. You just see a crowd of people, and you would assume these people would be trying to run through. in front of you is some injured, some wounded that are laying on the ground. One's been brought on top and put on top of a display cabinet in front of you. And your mom pulls out a stim pack and tells you, just, it'll be okay, and she quickly walks over to them and she starts doing what she can to try and help, because it doesn't seem like anybody else in the shop knows what's going on. She administers her own stim pack to this person, and you can kind of see them groggily coming back up. And similar to what was described earlier, glass just shatters from behind you. The small window that's sitting up front, and it was a decorated window, displaying that this is just a souvenir shop. So there are trinkets and just what looks like Empire medallions and snow globes and whatever else that you could think of. That's just, I visited Coruscant. That kind of
All
stuff
I got was
is
this
all.
lousy T-shirt.
It had Emperor Palpatine on the front of one of those giant swirly popsicles. I mean, you know.
Palpatine balloons. Death Star balloons.
And it says, "Wish you were here."
Wish you were here.
Do it. There's an easy button that you push and do it. Anyway, so all this is happening, and again, you're kind of huddled by the door and kind of down, kind of listening to what she's said to do. And the glass pops out from behind you. It lets some of the shards go into the store, but it's not like, this was obviously just a stray blaster bolt that came through. It wasn't something where it's repeated shots trying to target this particular area. You can hear in the background more and more blaster fire that's taking place. And as you're hearing all this, your mom's steadily working on trying to help this individual in front of you. And you're sitting back in the back. What would you like to do?
Since even though I've never really noticed the, fear and everything else that's going on, I tried to get my mom to stop helping him for a second to get us to leave, because I don't understand what's happening. Usually I'm just like, wow, the world is great, and then blaster fire just starts coming in, and I don't understand why she's not running instead of, helping these people that she is at the moment in time.
Okay. So as this is going on, so I'm assuming you're getting, up by her and trying to,
Pull on her.
You're trying to pull on her to kind of urge her to head out. She's looking over. She looks back over at you and looks back at this hurt individual. In your native tongue, you hear, "Sometimes for the greater good, you just have to help people regardless of what's going on." And she turns and goes back to doing what she's doing. Are you still tugging on her, trying to encourage her to leave?
Yeah.
Okay. So this goes on for what seems like an eternity, but it's really only just moments. The stress of the moment is really kind of compounding things and making it just, really kind of get on to you at this point. So, you hear more troopers, their footsteps outside. And you're hearing more and more commands like, "You there, freeze, halt." You're hearing some blaster fire go off. You're hearing others that are saying, "Take this one over to the transports." So you're just hearing all this, hodgepodge of things that are going on. And as you're still kind of tugging on your mom's, arm, trying to get, she kind of pushes you just a little bit to the side and says, "All right, just be safe, go home. I can't leave. The shopkeeper's saying there's a door back there, go."
But I can't leave without you. I can't. I don't have a father. You're the only thing that I have on this planet.
"I'll see you at home. I'll get home. I promise."
Hesitant at first, and then I start slowly backing up, seeing how serious she is. And I tell her okay, and I'll slowly start to leave.
All right. So I would like for you to make me a skullduggery check.
Ooh.
Okay, this will be an average check.
No.
All right. So I'll let you work through that.
That's
and
kind
as I'm describing what's going on, so you can work through those through your dice mechanics here. Again, if you don't have any ranks, it's just going to be green dice equal to your skill. The skill is listed right next to the skullduggery.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, spelled right now. It'll be cunning. Okay.
All right.
2 green and 2 purple.
All right. So, would you like to upgrade your check?
No.
Okay, I would.
Okay, well, let's do
Nope,
it then.
too late. You have your option before we start.
My God.
So take one of your purple and turn it to a red. So
Oh, you upgraded?
I upgraded.
Well, then you need to flip it back to the light side.
No, that's right. I'm sorry.
Man, look at you, gotta
I'm used to
watch
being on the
this
other side here. I'm used to being on the other side here.
Yes.
Bear with me. First, right?
So,
So,
skullduggery going on there.
so the reason why I'm having you make this check is as you've made your way back to the back, there's a couple of people that are there, and there's a electronic bolt lock that is sitting on that door. Now, it's not one that's like a data pad kind of scenario. It's not even a handprint. It's just, you can tell that it's like a magnetic lock. Okay? So the skullduggery check that I'm having you do is because you have to try and find a way to open this. Almost like you're picking this, or it's not really a mechanics check to try and short it out. Right now, you're just trying to fiddle with this thing and see if you can get it to unlock from the inside like a deadbolt would.
Okay. Let's see then.
Ooh. Not good. I don't know what's on that other die, but I promise it's not enough.
No, it's not enough.
So what are we left with?
So, let's see here. So I'm assuming these two are adding up, the panties, as you like to say?
Yes, those are adding up.
Yeah, they added up to a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had 3 failures. Okay? Now, I don't subscribe to the concept of the bigger the failure, the worse the things get. That's not the way this game works.
Unless they
you just
magically
failed.
think it's a good idea.
That's what threat does.
That's what threat does. So, you were unable to. You're just like fumbling with it, and you're unable.
What is this?
You got these big old clodhopper hands that just aren't working right to try and get this electronic lock open.
These hands!
I flip a light side point to give myself fingers. Yeah.
And as you're going through this, the door seems to heat up for a moment. What would you like to do? You have seconds.
Step back from the door.
All right. So I want a coordination check, and this is going to be a, this is an easy coordination check.
Still,
But-
it's agility, which is not easy for you.
Oh, God.
Because right now, you're trying to get and push back when you got people all around you at this point trying to get out that back door.
So that's,
One green.
1 green. And purple, correct?
2 purple, regular, or how hard?
This is 1 purple.
One purple.
This is an easy check.
Oh, okay.
Try to move back.
How did we do this
He's
one?
rolled 2 failure on every die he's rolled so far.
So the secret is when Percy rolls his dice, he does phenomenally well at hurting us. So that means as player characters, when you roll Percy's dice, you're in trouble.
That's so I'm glad I got my dice.
I'm doing fine.
And in a moment, the door just becomes blazing red. And it buckles and bows in and pops off its hinges back towards you. So we're going to see what happens to you.
Oh my! No! Offer him a drink. Here, some little elixir I made up. You know.
So the door comes off in this weird angle, and behind it you can see that there was some smoke that was going on at the same time. Just what looked like a small, I'll let you know, like a shaped kind of charge to get in from the back end of that building. And as it comes, as the door flies in, it kind of clips your shoulder on one side, and you're going to take 3 wounds.
Roar at it.
Roar at it. Yeah, I know, right?
And outside that door, is a squad of troopers
Hmm.
that immediately start pouring through that door with weapons trained. All hollering, halt, freeze, don't move. Ordering everyone to get down on their knees. What would you like to do?
So I'm already hurt. So there's not really any fighting back, I would assume, because I would just... I mean, with Thorian, I'm like, can't fight for crap. So, I mean, let's, I'm gonna go ahead and do an AA run here and just get down on the ground with my arm already messed up. And I'm gonna have to say that blast also hit my translator. So it's messing up, so I'm trying to tell them I'm getting down, but it's not coming out right, so all they're hearing is and I'm just trying to tell them, hey, I'm getting down.
Alright, so I'm gonna do something here just to see whether or not I'm going to see how this plays out. Roll me a force die and tell me whether it ends up in light side or dark side points.
Light side.
Okay. They stand, and the troopers, one of the squad leaders goes, "It's an Ithorian, don't let him talk." Blue blaster bolts fly out at you.
Ah, sweet stun.
And for narrative purposes, we're not going to roll this out, but the world kind of gets bright and then dark, and you don't know. The camera kind of pulls back out and sees what you're kind of laying there on the ground, just peacefully asleep at this point.
Lovely.
And we're going to fade and go back over here to Maranga. Maranga, you've kind of, and you and Chobor have pushed your way into this crowd, and you're starting to try and filter into one of these buildings as the footsteps, those mechanical footsteps, are just getting louder and louder and louder.
This don't sound good.
About 3/4 of this group has finally made it through, and obviously the family members, the male family members, are making sure that their women and children are going through the doors before anybody else is. Some blaster fire is coming from the side and clipping one or two of the outside group members, and you're seeing a couple of them take some hits and glancing blows. Some people are, arm injuries, and a few people have actually taken serious enough hits that they've fallen to the ground, and they're hurting. Are you going to continue to push with this group and try and push in through the door?
Is the overall mood here fear or anger?
Fear.
Fear.
With
okay.
this crowd, it's fear. Absolute fear.
We gotta get into the building. And I'm starting to think that they're not going to be able to get into the building.
Chobor, you're looking at him square in the eyes, and he's like, "This isn't happening."
Oh man, we gotta find another way. So I'm going to. But we're at one of the buildings.
That is correct. You're within a few, like a meter or two of the door. There's just so many of these people in front of you that you can't all file through the single door.
Okay.
To the left and the right of you, there are still some other buildings that are there, but you don't know if they're open or not.
Okay. I'm gonna try to. There's a place over there. Let's see if it doesn't look quite as packed.
Man, we got to get out of the open. We got to get out of here. So just go and I'll follow.
No, man, come on. You're coming with me.
So you grab him and start running off one direction. Okay. So I would like for you to make me a perception check, please. We will do a easy perception check.
I fail with 2 advantage.
All right. Huh. All right. So I'm going to say, narratively speaking, that your advantages are that you're able to kind of separate yourself and Chobor easily from this crowd and kind of navigate through a few other people that are there. And you find yourself standing between 2 entranceways. Each one of them is just a couple of feet away from you, but you have 3 troopers that are working their way down this almost like promenade towards you. So what would you like to do at this point?
See if I can get in one of the buildings.
All right. First building you try, locked. The closest one. The next door that's right there, Chobor's right there, and he gets that door open.
Okay.
And he hollers over at you, Moringa, come on, this one's open! And he tears off into the building.
All right, man, I'm right behind you.
All right. Steps from that door. An explosion pops out the door. Fire just blows right through. The blast hitting you with a concussion, knocking you backwards just a few feet.
Chobor! Chobor!
No reply.
When I recover, and probably there's a lot of people probably laying about, I'm going to try to run into the building if I can.
So you go running into the building, and you find yourself, and you kind of shakily get back up onto your feet, and you're still only a few meters from this door maximum, and you kind of charge through. Smoke is coming out the top of the building. You don't see any fires from where you're standing right there. Windows are blown out at this point. And as you go in, you look down, and you see a limp body laying in front of you, blackened and charred.
Chobor! My buddy Chobor, what's up, man? You're okay, you'll be okay, we'll fix you up. Oh my god, this is not a good look for you. And I'll basically be cradling him, you know.
All right. So as you're cradling him, you know, again, this feels like eternity. And from behind you, you hear, in classic Stormtrooper voice, don't move, freeze, drop whatever you have in your hands.
And I turn and I look at him and I say, you did this! And I charge him.
He lights off the shot. All right. So, we are going to do a quick basic initiative between the two of us.
Okay.
So, feel free to roll your initiative check.
And it's going to be discipline or cool?
This is going to be, it's vigilance.
Yeah.
Vigilant. Yeah, vigilance.
It's going to be vigilance.
Well, one success.
All right. As you're yelling at this trooper, and you start to get up and he takes one step back and braces himself with that blaster rifle facing towards you and says, I said freeze. And as you're moving a little bit more towards him, not weighing in this, he fires off a single shot at you. Do you have any ranged defense?
I got nothing, man. You gave us nothing. You know the answer to that.
Well, again, for those that are new to the session, new to the series, I'm trying to make sure that they understand what's going on here. So,
I got nada. I got an attitude right now.
So angry.
now he does have a blaster rifle that is within pretty much engaged range, so he is taking some negatives here.
Oh, good. Not enough negatives, I'm sure.
Not enough negatives.
I'm sure I'm taking a blaster bolt to the chest.
All right. He clicks down, bears down on the trigger, and a shot rings out and hits you square in the chest, right at where it hits your shoulder. And you're kind of spun around sideways. You are going to take 11 damage.
Oh!
Minus your soap.
Minus soak.
Oh, which is brawn, right?
Yep.
Oh, good. I live to fight another day. That wouldn't have taken me down. Like, he's got a lot of brawn. Like, I mean, a lot of wounds, but still. it's-
One more of those, you'll probably.
Oh, yeah, no, he shoots me again. Yeah.
All right. Now it's your turn, sir. You're kind of still reeling from this hit, and it kind of partially spun you backwards. But you're still on your feet at this moment.
Do I see any kind of exits of any kind other than...
You got a blown out window right next to him. He's standing in the doorway.
I'm diving through the window.
All right. Good choice, sir. Good choice. I commend you. All right. So I would like, in that case, a athletics check.
All
All right. Would you like to upgrade?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll let you upgrade that one.
All right. How hard is it?
This is going to be average. It's right there. You're shaken by what's gone on, but that's about it.
Ooh, we got a triumph. We got a triumph and 2 success.
All right. So I will let you pick what you would like to do for your triumph, but you successfully jump back out that window, and he can't turn fast enough to get his blaster rifle, dip back down out of the door, and turn towards you from the side. So you kind of dove out, and you're really easily able to get back onto your feet, and you have a good clear path. What now looks like that building where the folks went, or where those people went, still has an open door.
At this point, I think I'm just trying to get out of the crowd. So I don't think I'm going over to that open door. Do I... my triumph will be that... let's see, because it has to do with something with jumping out of there, or basically getting out of Dodge, that I see a spot where I can basically go and hide. I find a spot that maybe some rubble or part of a building has been knocked out, that I see that I can actually go in and hide.
Okay. Right now, I'm going to say that there's quite a bit of that going on because of the amount of damage that has taken place. So I'm not going to do a perception roll to kind of make that happen. Narratively, and especially with a triumph, we're going to go ahead and give that to you as part of your scene element.
Okay.
So, and we'll say that part of that triumph is because of how well you did getting out that window. You're almost at that point where you're already at almost a full sprint to be able to get there.
Okay.
Okay? So you're not quite there, but you're going to be able to get to something where you can duck and cover and have some rubble but get behind.
All right. As soon as I get a chance, might learn only stim pack myself.
All right. Now this is mechanics. You can still take an extra strain and use your second maneuver to stim pack yourself.
That's what I'm going to do.
So for those that are unaware, one of the mechanics that's allowed within the FFG system is you get one maneuver, you get one action within a scene, and you get an incidental. The stim pack is considered a maneuver. So anything that would require a roll is considered an action, and an incidental would be like talking or pointing or doing something like that. So Rick or Moringa has chosen to take an additional maneuver at the cost of strain to be able to do something additional in the scene. So, stim pack obviously gives you an additional 5 wounds the first time it's used during that combat scene.
And
so you automatically
4.
recovers. Right. And during that same day, if you have to use it again, it becomes, or a 24-hour period, it becomes 4, and then 3, and 2. So it's diminishing returns until you got too much Bacta in your system. It's just not going to work for you. Okay? So with that said, you kind of lunge over behind some rubble and you kind of slam your body up into the corner real quick, and at the same time it's really this cool scene where you're sliding in and you're stabbing yourself with a stim pack in the leg while you're doing it to kind of help deal with what you've got going on with your shoulder and your arm right now. You still have full motion and you still have full movement, but man, that blaster bolt hurt. You thought stormtroopers couldn't shoot. So
I watched all the movies. What? And Spaceballs too.
Being rebel propaganda.
All right, and with that, we're gonna pause your scene at that moment, and we are going to switch back over to Aaron, and you're being led down this walkway, this alley, so to speak, back towards the speeders. And just as you come around the corner, you can see your family speeder sitting right there off to the side. And the door of this vehicle is sitting wide open. And the vehicle, if you would like to make a planetary piloting check to see if you can recognize what this is. I mean, you probably already figured out the purpose, but if you'd like to know more about it, then you could. I'll give you the option.
I don't think my head's there right now.
Okay.
And I don't know that that's something that this kid would know. He might be familiar with just kind of transport class shuttles, but not to a degree where like he would know anything like where like an escape hatch. He would know this. He doesn't care about that stuff.
No, not that.
Just in general, he just doesn't really have a feel for that. So I think what he's more of doing is trying to perceive the area around him to see if anyone is injured, because like he feels like he's going to be loaded onto this thing. And so what he would do would be to flock close to those who need help the most and be near them.
Okay. As you come around the corner, there are injured and there are dead, obviously. Right now, there's a few, bodies that are laying around, and the troopers and security forces, they don't seem to be worried as much about trying to control that part of the scenario with active firefight going on somewhere behind them, just, a couple 100 meters back behind them into the arena area and into the park. The firing does sound like it's letting up to some degree at this point for you. And again, it sounds much more in the distance than it does, close to you. Several troopers are coming in and out of this, bay door of this vehicle. There are some injured, but they're being treated just like everyone else. There's those that are seriously injured that are being brought over and almost dropped onto these piles of, bodies that are laying around, with somebody just generally standing guard. The troopers that are coming out of this vehicle, and you can see they've got binders, empty binders in their hand, and most of them are trying to reattach it back onto their utility belt. And then you'll see them take up a little bit more of a pick up stride as they're heading back towards where you were pulled from.
Sure.
There are a few injured that are with you. Nothing that you see as being too serious. Most people have some glancing shots, or a lot of these folks are folks that you could tell are kind of really groggy. You yourself are kind of groggy, from everything that's going on as well. And you get pulled into this vehicle, and you just see rows of seats on each side. So there's about 8 or 9 rows per box of this vehicle, and there's 4 seats on each side with a walkway going right down in the middle. And as each person gets brought in, you can see the trooper in front of them bring him up to a seat and forcibly push him down into it. And you're a few people behind just as you're entering in this vehicle, and you can see this. And as they are, their hands are being brought forward, and you can see almost magnetic locks yanking their hands forward against the seat back in front of them. And then the trooper takes their magnetic cuffs off of them as their hands are being locked into that position. And this is the scene that's unfolding in front of you.
Yeah.
Give it a resistance.
At the risk of not doing what you want me to do, I go along with it.
Who says what I want you to do?
I allow them to.
I'm giving you freedom to do anything that you want to do.
It almost seems like we're all supposed to.
I think my head is kind of my head as player is formulating what I think I would want to happen in this scenario, and what I think the character would want to do. And so I think he's kind of jarred and shocked at what happened to his dad. He's pleased that he couldn't find the identification, because his family are creatures of habit, very much so. They've got their rituals down to a T so that they never appear out of place. And so the fact that his dad didn't have his identification on him means either he knew something was going to happen, so he left it behind, or just by sheer happy accident today he didn't have it on him. And so nobody's going to know his family's involved. He's pleased with that. He's shocked at what happened, and he's just kind of, as quickly as they move his arms, I'm willingly putting them forward so they don't have to jerk me around and stuff, I'm showing compliance.
Okay.
But again, just kind of digging back to the character, that's what I'm showing outside, but definitely not what the character's feeling inside.
Okay. So as you're going through this, and it's, again, your angsty teenage side is still kind of, you're going along with it, but you're kind of like, giving just a little bit of resistance. And every time you give a little bit of resistance, you just kind of feel the strength of that trooper holding you. And it's like, okay, there's nothing. That sense of hopelessness is kind of hitting you at this point. And you don't know whether or not, and what's going to happen, where you're going, what's going to take place. Sure. And as you're sat down into your seat, that same experience happens. Your hands get jerked forward, and they get clasped into electromagnetic locks, and the trooper takes off his binders from you and turns without saying a word and walks out as the next person gets loaded in the seat right next to you.
Yep.
And that's where we're going to wipe from you.
Yep.
And we are going to come back over to Moringa.
Bring it on.
You're laying in this area where, again, there's still a little bit of a firefight that's going on. Most of the opposition forces that have had some small arms or were able to overtake a soldier or security person or a trooper here or there and snatched up one of their weapons and continue to fire, they're not equipped. They're not, armored. They're everyday citizens that were just attempting to try and draw fire and maybe give the crowd an opportunity to get out or do some damage. Maybe there were some street thugs. We don't know yet. But at the end of the day, that's dying down. There's not many of them left. There's a few that are behind a few statues that are currently, you kind of peeking around and seeing, and the troopers are forming these ranks and just kind of flanking them. And there's no holds barred. You're not seeing any, you are not seeing any stun bolts going off. You are seeing nothing but just red blast after red blast. And moments after they flank and you see these blasts, almost like a firing squad, they stop and methodically they move to the next statue. And they continue to move to the next statue. And they're only a couple statues away from where you're at right now.
How good a hiding place do I think I have?
I don't know. How good of a hiding place do you
It was a
think you
triumph
have?
hiding place.
You asked for rubble.
Well, no, I know. Well, I know. I asked for a hiding place that part of a building had fallen that I could crawl into.
No, fair. I'll give you that one.
Because if I think it's a good enough hiding place, I'm just going to lay low.
All right. So with that, what I would like to say is give me a stealth check.
Yeah, I'm afraid you
But I'm going to give in your triumph, I'm going to go ahead and give you a free upgrade. Would you like to upgrade again?
We're running out of.
You get a free upgrade.
You get a free upgrade.
Oh, upgrade, not.
Yeah, you get a free upgrade.
Because of your triumph, I'm going to give you a free upgrade to add to a stealth roll.
Oh, because that signifies how good a hiding place
Correct.
it is. And how difficult is the...
We're going to make this... Okay, so let's see. Squad perception. We're going to go with... It's going to be a hard check.
Then I will upgrade.
Okay. Trying to keep in mind some squad mechanics here.
Ooh,
upgraded.
I had 3 success.
No, that's right. He did add the upgrade.
3 success and 2 threat.
Thank you for catching
Wow.
that.
Wow.
So 3 success. Now, you obviously seeing what is going on. This is like you are now counting on your hiding place. You're stressed over what you just saw with your best friend. You're hiding behind rocks and dust, and you kind of scooped some of this stuff up onto you to kind of see if maybe you can look like you're beneath it. And
I'm a statue.
they continue to move methodically from statue to statue
That's just-
and pass by you.
and how many did I take? 2 strain? Is
You
that
did
what
take 2
that's what I
strain.
figured.
You were sweating bullets. Or blaster bolts.
Good thing I wore my brown corduroys today.
You did? You wore your brown pants? Good. All right. So with that, as they walk past you and they move on to the next statue, and you're starting to hear that blaster fire really die down at this point, we are going to wipe back over to Thuy. Thuy, you don't know how long it's been. It's been probably just a few minutes. But as you wake up, You have a collar on. And your hands are bound. You have this collar on you right now, and 2 troopers are now setting you into what looks like a seat. And again, just like I described earlier, they take your hands and they ram them forward. They're not even being gentle with this. They just slam your hands forward against the backrest, and electronic binders lock in, and they take the original binders off of you. One trooper turns and leaves, while the other one looks and nods at an officer that's standing at the door, and he turns and leaves. That officer says, "Athorian, that collar around your neck, make a noise, and it'll put you out again."
Just look at him.
He kind of does a double smile, I guess. Like, how does that work?
These two whale-like teeth entities open up on the side. Yeah. These 2 thumbs that are bound together.
I got you.
all the while. So what would your character be thinking at this point? Because you've just woken up and you've been told to make a noise and you're going to go out. How would you be feeling at this moment?
Well, confused. A little, just confused and wondering why I'm being put into transport. Also wondering where my mother is at, because I got stunned and just woke up and started walking to a transport vehicle. So I, freaking out at the moment of not what's going on, I immediately start making that sound. And it's slowly going...
Okay. And as it starts to pick up and as that noise starts to increase, you get to a certain point where you would feel like you're just starting to raise your voice from a normal, just everyday kind of, hey, what's going on kind of conversation to you're now getting animated. You're now getting louder at this. And as you do, electricity starts pulsing through your body. You're gone to strain threshold.
Ooh. Strain threshold, okay. 15?
Yeah, 15, yeah.
Alright. So at this point, for narrative purposes, those that are not familiar, this is what is referred to as a shock collar.
I was very uncertain as to what to call it.
Yes.
Well, no, there are devices within this game, and one of them is a shock collar.
Yeah.
So a stun collar. So, and they were specifically designed for this purpose in mind, is transporting prisoners.
Yep.
And especially those that have abilities similar to an Athorian. All right. So with that, the light kind of starting to, you're really getting woozy. You're not there yet, but you kind of rein it back under control, and you're just, you know it. You're at your physical limits. You just cannot take any more of what this thing can dish out. So with that, we're going to wipe from your scene, and we're going to come right back over to Moringa. Last patrol has passed by you just, few moments before, and they've now made it over to another statue again and have pushed past you.
I'm going to continue to lay low. I'm going to wait until I think that taking assessment of the surroundings, do I think I can get out of these buildings?
I don't know, do you?
And also, I want to get Shobor's body, which is going to be tricky. But I don't want to just leave him there. So I'm going to wait as long as I think I can.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try to go, I can't be too far from that building because I basically leapt out and found a quick place to hide. And then I'm going to go back in there and see if I can recover his body and get out.
All right. So, time starts to tick by, and we're talking a few minutes here. And what ends up happening is that, obviously at this point, more of the command and control element are starting to filter in here. And some of the squad leaders and some of the, company commanders, and they're coming back saying, all right, we need to clear out some of these bodies. I want scanners in here. I want to find out if people are still alive. And we need to start inspecting the rest of this area and find out where some of these people have fled to. And as this is taking place, you can see more and more equipment being brought in shortly thereafter. And they start methodically working their way around this area.
Dang it.
Crafty.
This is not the Nautilin you're looking for.
Well, it is the Nautilin that they just found.
Oh.
So at this time, there are security agents. Not really the troopers. The troopers are holding the general area. But security agents and more of the technician-style folks are now filtering through. And within moments, in the area that you're at, you hear one of these technicians, "I've got a live one over here, sir." And troopers start to move in towards that area.
And my perception is that they're talking about me.
All you heard was, "You're hidden." All you heard was, "We've got a live one over here." All right.
I'm sitting tight.
All right. So as you sit tight, now all of a sudden rocks are now being moved out from around you. And as they look down, you kind of look up and you're covered in dirt and debris. You see a blaster barrel right there.
Hey, man, have a good day, man. What's the problem?
You're coming with us.
Well, come away, man. I'm taking a nap here. What the hell?
Hands out. Put them in front of you.
Oh, man, no problem.
And the binders get clasped onto you, and you get escorted down and around and to this vehicle.
Hey, man,
and
go
loaded
easy,
into the
man.
vehicle.
Been a rough day.
And as you get loaded, you're the last one that is loaded on this vehicle. You see other children, you see some women, you see some older men, you see some injured people that are on here. And at that point, you hear the officer call 2 troopers in to stand at the back of this vehicle behind the entire row of people that are in there. And you hear him key up. Prisoner transport in motion. Doors shut behind you. And you feel the vehicle take off and leave. And that's where we're going to end it.
Oof. Oof.
Thank you so much for sticking with us during this session. We are going to take another quick 5-minute break for those of you that are with us on the stream. And we are going to be right back with our final session for the evening. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube or listening to this over on our podcast, keep on adventuring.
Bye.
No problem, man.